So if you're looking for a video transmission system, you probably already noticed that the price can vary from a couple hundred to a couple thousand euros pretty quickly, but on paper they all do the same. So in this video we are talking about specifically what features a video transmission should have so that it fits your needs and what you actually need to run your system perfectly. Coming up. So first let's talk about what is a transmission system and how it actually works. So to break it down easily, what a transmission system always does, it transmits the image from the camera to maybe a monitor which is somewhere far away, director's monitor whatsoever. And it always consists basically of two parts. We have the transmitter, can look like this. This is the device which is always at the camera. And here you put in a cable, so to get the signal from the camera into the transmitter. And this one wirelessly transmits the image signal to the receiver. That one can look like this. And this one will be connected then via cable to a monitor. And then you can basically have a big distance between camera and monitor and everybody can see what you're doing. Now there are specific use cases where this is helpful. For example, if you have a big director's monitor or if you have a focus puller which is pulling focus for you. So it makes sense in a bigger production, and if you are on your own, it is maybe very cumbersome. It's also worth mentioning about the I/O that this system has. Here, for example, we have SDI and HDMI. So that one, it makes more flexible to use it across different camera manufacturers. And we also have SDI in and out. And therefore, I would also recommend to have a specific order to use it. For example, if I want to use on my little red camera here an on-camera monitor like this one, and I want to have the signal into my transmitter as well as into my monitor, we have basically two options to do that, right? First, we could go with the SDI cable into the monitor and then go with another SDI cable out of the monitor into the transmitter, or we can do it vice versa, which is actually what I would recommend. Going first into the transmitter and then using the SDI out of the transmitter to go into the monitor. That one has the advantage that we have less latency. It's always a little bit complicated to rig a transmitter to your camera due to the antennas, because it's always like either this way or that way, and somehow it's not in the right place always. So therefore, Portkeys has a pretty cool thing right here. This is basically a double-sided NPF. As you turn this knob right here, you have basically two parts, and you can make it like that way, depending on the configuration that you want to use it. But in my case, I will have it like it was. And now, basically, I can just put it into my transmitter here, like so. And then I go to my monitor, which is this one right here. This one also has an NPF, and we are ready. Now we just need to power this thing up. So here I have a D-tap cable. So this one directly goes with the D-tap into the camera, like so. And then we make a little bit of cable management. You should do it. I don't do it in this case. So now we basically have power. All right, and then I just need to plug in my SDI cable, going to my monitor right here. Now I have SDI connection. So the only thing left that I need to do right now is go into the SDI in of this transmitter, like so, and going into the SDI out of my monitor. I mean, like, you definitely should do some cable management, which I didn't do right now. But as long as you have things that are powered by NPF, which is basically everything, then you can use this kind of a really snug solution. And now it's behind my monitor and it's basically everything is free. I can carry my camera on the top handle, on the side handle. It doesn't get in the way. So that is a pretty little cool idea basically, and it doesn't cost that much. I will link it for you down below. So the most important feature of a wireless video transmission system is actually the latency. And latency basically means the delay between the capturing of the image between the transmission to the other video village or whatsoever. So that delay is basically meant in latency. And this one is pretty crucial actually for video work. And it is really crucial when you want to pull focus. So just imagine if you're going to pull in focus and the latency is so high that basically the action is already over, and then the focus puller cannot even pull focus. So therefore it is really important that you have a low latency. And for example, here we have a more expensive transmission system to a kind of normal video transmission system, and yeah, this one has a high latency and this one has a low latency. This one is around 1 millisecond, which is basically no latency. And personally, if you want to use it for focus pulling or something like that, I wouldn't choose anything above 10 milliseconds. I think also the DJI transmission system has around 30-ish milliseconds, which is also kind of on the higher end. So therefore, they all kind of lure you with the marketing about their range, but actually, which is much more important, is also the latency. But talking about range is actually the distance the transmitter and the receiver can be apart from each other. And that one is also good if you want to use it for example, if you're working in big concert halls and there's a big distance always, or you're working in sports arenas and something like that, then you really want to pay attention to the distance. So that one is also very crucial, I would say, and therefore it's for me personally the second most important feature. But it all comes down to what you're going to do and in which use cases you want to put it to the table. We have talked now a lot about the different features and specs that a wireless transmission system can have, but in the end it all comes down in what shooting situations you find yourself the most in and what you actually prefer. For example, if you're a one-man band and a solo shooter, I think a wireless transmission system doesn't make always sense. Then just buy a cheaper one that you can just give it out to your client or something like that, and then everything is just fine. But if you are working in a bigger crew, and especially if you want to use it for focus pulling and something like that, then I would really advise to invest in a higher or in a high budget system, so to say, because only these ones have really low latency and make them really useful and suitable for accurate focus pulling. If it's only a client monitor or something that you want to put on site or something like that, that the client just have a visual reference, then obviously a system with a higher latency doesn't make any difference, right? So therefore, if you only want to use it in these cases, then a cheaper alternative, for example from the Hollyland or something like that, would make more sense to you. So I hope I demystified all of that, and if you have any further questions, you know the game, then just drop them in the comments down below, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers!